Hello and welcome back to Rock School, the show that aims to give you ideas on playing in a band. In this session we'll be looking at orchestration, not just for keyboards but for the band as a whole. And we'll be showing you just what you can do with this machine here, a sampler.
We'll also be looking at vocal harmonies and arrangements with two of America's leading soul stars, James Ingram and ex-Doobie Brothers blue-eyed soul man, Michael McDonald.
So let's begin with orchestration. There are two main aspects to this: working out combinations of different sounds and seeing which go well together, and structuring your chords and melodies to suit these sounds. In other words, instrumental voices and chord voicings.
A chord voicing depends on the vertical placement of the notes and whether you double up or leave out any of these notes. Now take a look at this D7th chord. The voicing is the first, the fifth, the flattened seventh, major third, and the fifth. Now, with a clean sound, the harmony rings through. However, I put a more sustained sound on the guitar and play the same chord. It sounds really messy. Now, with just a simple change of fingering, I can play a D5 or D power chord, which only consists of the first, the fifth, and the first again.
With synthesizers around, this question of voices and voicings becomes even more involved. Someone who's not afraid to experiment with big sounds and textures is Genesis keyboard player Tony Banks.
I like that effect sometimes. I think it works very well. I mean, a prime example was, again, on the last album, Home by the Sea. The guitar solo at the end is like, you know, I'm just playing, I mean, I'm making an incredible noise, really, of sort of just, there's this sound from the synclavier in it, which is going all the way through it, through a guitar solo, and poor Mike's trying to play on top of it, but I think it works. You go that effect, you know, and it just sounds great, I think, in the context. You know, you really can't distinguish anything apart from this guitar that sort of soars out the middle of it all, and behind it, it's just like everything's going, all hell's breaking loose. I mean, it's supposed to be a sort of ghost story of the song, you know, so the idea was that everything was sort of coming at you.
In terms of sound these days, you've always got the option of sampling. Now you can record and store on disk a short extract of any sound and replay it later. By playing around with these samples, you can create an almost limitless catalogue of new sounds.
So, how does a sampler work? Well, probably the best way to describe it is a cross between a compact disc player and a computer. On a compact disc, the sound has been converted into digital information for storage. When played back, that information is reconverted into a near-perfect sound reproduction of the original. A sampler works in a similar sort of way.
Samplers don't generate their own sounds, they simply reproduce sounds, so an obvious use is for imitation. Now, if the sound you want to imitate is short stays at a constant pitch and loudness, like my alarm clock, you'll have no trouble in reproducing it. However, if it changes pitch, sustains at all, or involves any expression, then things start to get a bit complicated.
Firstly, when Alistair samples my lowest bass note, it sounds quite good. But if he plays it higher up, it sounds a bit like a banjo. This is rather like the effect you get when speeding up a tape recorder, so you'll have to take several samples and spread them over the whole range of the keyboard. Now, you could make a feature of this, as Art of Noise do, on the human voice. There is a small matter of inspiration and technique, of course. If Alistair really wants to get into sounding like a bass, he's got to think about slapping, pulling, bending, strumming and picking. Try this, Al.